Alright,
There we were,
here we go.
heading east across the Atlantic Ocean, stowaways on a giant airborne fortress. Though time was short, we made sure to study up on our unknown.
Yeah, let's see who Arpeggio actually is.
While attending a prestigious boarding school, the young Arpeggio excelled in all subjects, but he never managed to keep up with the other boys physically. Sadly, his wings, due to their small size, were useless for flight. Furious at his feeble body, he focused his powerful mind to search for a cure.
Apparently he studied the drawings of Leonardo da Vinci. Okay.
Their notebooks provided the springboard for this sinister...
It's always Da Vinci. Pablo Picasso never gets any love in these things.
Picasso is all about abstract things. Da Vinci specifically had a lot of drawings about anatomy, you know, design of machines, and so on. Picasso was all about bodies in weird proportions and a lot of death.
That is admittedly sort of the thing. Don't get me wrong, love Picasso, but he's about art. Da Vinci's the one
Anyways,
who
like Cooper and the gang in Anatomy for Disaster.
Well, that's a Bond-esque title if ever I've heard one.
So yeah, our party has to use the battery as their refuge. And now we have to travel the entirety of Arpeggio's flying machine while it's crossing the Atlantic Ocean and prevent the resurrection from Clockwerk. Are you a bad enough dude to do it? I guess. This is among the games. This is the one that has the final level that is the most, expanded upon. That is more similar to its previous one because, like I mentioned in the previous game, the games tend to have this fascination of making the last level like a gauntlet or super rushed. Well, this one instead has, a structure that it's actually similar to the previous episode. They still have things to do: collect the bottles, grab the treasure from the safe, and a set of missions that you can tackle in your own pace rather than having been one after the other or just like one big mission in general. So at least this is the game that actually seems to be more consistent with its level design. But otherwise, this level is fairly challenging. The mooks are actually two types of mooks, surprisingly. Both species of birds, toucans, I think they're both. One that is the foot soldier, and the other that instead is on trampolines and is the torch kind of mook. So it's the bigger one, more difficult to actually destroy. Anyway, first thing first.
My instruments have picked up large magnetic fields radiating from inside that blimp. If Arpeggio's already started reassembling Clockwerk, that's where you'll find it.
Makes you wonder why not just, so it sort of makes you wonder, why is he building him while in midair? Like, you think he'd take him right to his base?
Well, Arpeggio doesn't seem to have a base. This one is like the mobile fortress functioning, but don't worry, we're about actually to receive basically an explanation of the entire plan of the Klaww gang as a whole, actually.
Indeed, that's right. This has been building up to something, guys. Remember
Again,
that.
like I said, it's surprisingly good how well paced and well foreshadowed, the plan of a Klaww gang is. You get snippets of it, you may guess what's going on, but when the bigger picture, puzzles itself, where you're like, oh, so that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. Of course, through the air vent.
Well, yeah, let's see. Well, shit, it's already reconstructed.
I had no idea
He works fast.
Clockwerk's so fast.
Calm down, Bentley. He might be in one piece, but he doesn't appear to be, alive.
Thankfully.
Let's stick to the format here. How about some recon?
Yes, dousing him in lava was not completely for nothing.
Be informed to create a plan of action. Try to get a shot of Clockwerk's head, a mech egg, and one of those spinning magnetic inducers. They seem important to the procedure, but stay away from the guards.
Obviously.
If you get detected, we won't have time for a second chance.
So, again, don't get detected or the mission fails immediately.
Yep.
First, there we go, the electro platform.
Inducers seem to be
Bit out of frame, but thankfully we're not in Pokemon
Bentley's
Snap, so that won't get
accepting it, I'm
afraid.
good. It's not like Professor Oak in Pokemon Snap.
I was about to say.
But, But again, fucking magnets, how do they work? Oh shit. Nothing to see here. Yeah, I don't get why the mission didn't fail at that point. I thought they would, but whatever.
Maybe they didn't completely see you.
No, the alarm actually got raised, so I don't know. Maybe the game glitched a bit.
Also, if I didn't know better, I'd say Clockwerk looks a bit smaller than his boss right from the first game.
No, I think it's still in scale. It's the only thing that is changes that everybody's not moving, so you don't see that much. And remember, it was also from a distance in the first game, so it did appear a bit bigger.
Now it's funny because Clockwerk was the leader of his own gang. Yet apparently, in the shadows, there
This
was the
other
Claw
gang.
gang who were planning to
Again,
do
it
something
really
with
seems
them.
someone in Sucker Punch was really a fan of Castlevania too.
I know, right?
Gentlemen, we still might have a chance.
Yes. How does one bring Clockwerk back to life? Does it involve a certain spark, per se?
I don't know, Joe, but maybe it requires like an extra pinch of something spicy.
Yes. Spirit is spicy.
So sure, why not? Alright, one last photo, this time for the mech egg instead.
Come on.
Get the fuck out. There we go.
I'm sensing radioactivity from inside those mech eggs. I wouldn't get too close. Sly, I'm detecting voices from the front.
Okay, time instead to snoop in what Arpeggio is saying to whoever it might be.
Very good. Oh!
Shit. Basically, Dweebs, Clockwerk has already been reassembled technically, but he's still not alive, so we need to discover what Arpeggio wants to do with it.
Okay.
Shit. Ow. Yeah, as you can imagine, since it's ending territory, the guards are much more merciless for sections like these. Here we go. Oh, look who's here! Neela, for fuck's sake.
Well, well, well.
What's that? I love the way it zoomed in sync with you saying, well.
And the source of all our problems.
Arpeggio.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Like I said, Dweebs, despite the name, he's British.
Been Arpeggio all along.
Yeah. So Neela was in deeper than we'd ever imagined.
She literally backstabbed everyone. Sly, Carmelita, Contessa, Interpol.
And it looks like they're dangerously close to realizing their goal.
Look, Bentley, I know it's not your style.
Yeah, we need to come up with something quickly. This is not
Try to think of
just
a way. And
something we can leave here.
Stop Clockwerk from getting reassembled.
Well, those magnetic inducers seem to be holding the parts together.
Because, of course,
If you reverse their
Science.
it's always about reversing the polarity.
Unless the polarity, yeah, it's Doctor Who.
Using multimodal refraction sorting.
is locked out.
Imagine if Doctor Who crossed over with Sly Cooper, Dweebs.
I don't even know what
Well, we-
kind of persona the Doctor could be, honestly.
Reverse the polarity.
What's a historically very smart animal?
Well, obviously the
Dolphins.
fox, but that's already taken, and there's a bit of a stereotype going on. No, I think the Doctor might be
Dolphins.
something different. I
I
guess.
imagine they'd be something quite underwhelming.
Probably. Like a turkey.
Something silly.
I can see
Wait.
I can see Capaldi's version of a Doctor being a turkey.
I was
And
about
be
to
yelling
say,
at everyone, fucking hell!
I was about to say, do you think maybe the Doctor would be a different animal based off of each reincarnation?
Maybe, I guess we would just roll with that
Like
completely.
what would a custom would be like an an owl.
And I think
I guess.
what would the 10th Doctor be?
A bear.
Nah, too slim.
Nah, how about a tiger?
Maybe. The 11th Doctor would be a
Dolphin?
a dolphin.
I guess. I don't know.
Doctor 12 would be a.
Like I said, turkey. Capaldi just fits
Yep.
better like that.
Yep. A turkey. That sums up half his tenure.
And what about the 13th Doctor?
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, I've been meaning...
Swan.
I've been meaning to ask to him. So, last I recall, the 13th Doctor got some, well, iffy reception.
It's underwhelming,
initially.
I can tell you that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, has it gotten any better with her, or...?
It's up and down from what I can tell.
It seems that there's a big drama. There seems to be mostly hype just for the fact that, you know, of potential candidates for the next incarnation. But it's a start for another time because let's see if the polarity is working. It's
All right.
because now I need to, if I recall correctly, there you go. I need to actually get on each of the magnetic pulses and reverse the polarity through each one. And after that, hopefully, it should be, you know, it should be done.
Lovely.
Wow, Swatia, you're warping all over the place.
Thanks for my glorious power of editing, yes. Also, poor Sly has to hold his cane within his teeth every time he climbs something.
Who's pounding the piano?
Peter McCollum. This music actually reminds me a bit of Bugs Bunny Lost in Time, actually, in a way.
Yeah, I can see why.
I actually don't remember who was the composer for that one. I'll check later.
I'll check.
Because now we're actually nowadays we're about to get some heavy story parts.
Giles Leville.
What's all this then? The magnets have been reversed. But by Jove, it seems to have locked the clockwork parts into place.
Oh shit.
Excellent.
God damn it.
Sly Cooper! Of course this would be your doing.
Ah, Mr. Cooper.
Finally face to face.
A reversal would pull the old bird apart, eh? But it seems to have had quite the opposite effect. I'm truly grateful. When fully powered up, I'll join myself to
Yeah, that's Arpeggio's secret plan, using Clockwerk as a vessel to instill his consciousness into it.
So there
Yeah.
you go. The plan was never to bring Clockwerk back,
But
but
to
was
be
to
a
use
host.
him for... And basically, Clockwerk's body gives the user immortality.
Supposedly.
Clockwork parts to drive their various trivial schemes. But not me. No. I saw them for what they really were. The keys to life eternal.
So, what? You had Neela put me on the scent back in Cairo, and then...
Yeah, this was all part of a plan. The Cooper gang was played like fucking fiddles.
Huh.
That you were behind it all?
You make it sound easy, Cooper. I had to carry your pathetic gang through that first set of heists. I was overjoyed when Arpeggio let me toss you in jail. I could finally go after the parts myself.
Yeah, you did such a bang-up job at that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, it's not, you know, all that needed to be done.
Your execution was as
hatred for my
your accent.
Yeah. Remember, Clockwerk said that hate was the thing that kept him alive. And what's the best thing that can bring hate?
You can't make people hate.
Spite?
Close, Shiroi. The spice. Remember, that's what it does. And Dimitri just happened to have a nightclub in Paris that distributed large quantities of it.
Yeah.
Huh, well.
Well, shit.
So everything
Can we
had
bring
basically
the PSAs back?
everything has gone basically into motion. Rajan procured the spice. Dimitri distributed it. The Contessa installed on the blimp hypnosis ray and perfected in the meantime, while Jean Bison, powered up the machines.
The northern lights. You've been collecting northern light energy so you could hypnotize everyone beneath the blimp.
Ah, hypnotize those who'd eaten food covered in illegal spice. Thank goodness for Dimitri. Through his nightclub, he got the whole city to consume the
Damn, Dimitri really was popular.
You're going
Yeah.
to Paris to unleash a hypnotic light show of hate. That's outlandishly cruel.
So there you go. We're sort of heading back to what was the first stage of the game.
Dismantling a drug cartel, essentially.
Not only that, but literally also the first level, too, in a sense,
True.
story-wise.
Oh, look at that. Nina betrayed someone else. What a surprise.
I double-crossed the Cooper guy.
Yeah, anyone should have seen this coming.
Wait, sorry, I blinked for a second there. What happened?
She just
And
betrayed
yes,
him. like
there's
she's
our
betrayed
final
everyone
boss.
else.
Our final boss is Nila, because Arpeggio is about to die. This is a bit lame, the fact that you can actually fight him, but whatever, I guess.
Exit the Clockwerk frame
Or what? Yeah, exactly.
I'm noticing a
Or that'll happen?
I'm noticing a recurring theme too of you being disappointed on not getting to fighting birds in cages.
Not just that. Well, I'm not really. I'm more disappointed when a building gets built up, but you don't actually get to fight it.
Also, you gotta love it. She now calls herself Klaww.
Yeah, there's your final boss, by the way. And yes, the rest of the episode is about actually trying to find a way to kill her.
Because it ain't gonna be easy.
So, good luck, team. You need it.
Wow, it's nice to know that she'll stand there letting you plan the way to defeat her.
Well, she's not exactly standing, Group. She's literally flying off.
This blimp is still in motion to Paris. I can only assume Arpeggio's autopilot will activate the hate hypnosis light show. If that happens, there'll be no stopping Clockwerk.
Yeah.
She'll be immortal.
So we need to fight. Close
She'll
up.
have a chance. In her new form, she'll need to draw a lot of energy from this blimp's engines to stay strong. If we can disable the engines, that should be enough to weaken her to a state in which we can attack.
I guess we'll also need to worry about the airship crashing, but one thing at a time.
Yeah, for a second there, one of the characters like a bizarre blending of Banjo and Kazooie.
They were just a warm-up round for what we'll be going through tonight.
Okay, stop with the close-up. Bentley, you seriously need to work better in the presentation skills. Alright, so again, we need to find ways to prevent Clockwerk to reach Paris before the light show starts.
Hey, you hired me for my planning, not for my picture taking.
True, that's kind of Sly's job to do that.
I'll need you to take out all the power stations and then pry open the
So yeah, time is literally of the essence right now.
Alright, first thing first, you need to destroy pieces of, I think, some minor generators with Murray. Go on, Jova.
Gotta admit, it's an interesting, motivation for Nilo. Like, you gotta admit, she went through a few 10 or a couple steps here to get where she is now.
Pretty much.
And thankfully, it wasn't like the usual villain ball thing where she does it, just for money, even though clearly with the position she had, surely she would have already been able to amass riches. No, what she wanted was immortality. Which, yeah, you get it. There are reasons some people do want immortality here.
It doesn't seem to be even a case of she really planned this. It's more like she took an occasion when she had the opportunity. Because sorry, go on.
She's very much an opportunist, but I can't help but wonder if she was planning all these double crosses in advance, which wouldn't surprise me if she was, honestly.
You have to remember that what the Contessa said also, goes into the equation. The Klaww consciously knew that they wanted to bring back the parts of Clockwerk, which was considered a beast even from the thief community, essentially, for what it was worth. But they were willing to do it for the sake of the plan. So I get the idea that even Nila probably knew that. Because remember, she kind of had been at least an informer, if not an actual official member, an actual informant pretty much since the beginning. She was the one that tipped everyone in Cairo. So
it's also been said that she was apparently Arpeggio's protege, so he probably let on stuff for her here and there.
Considering it's also more fortunate the fact that the game actually had taken its time to build her up pretty much from above and beyond. Again, the only real negative thing about this is the fact that as a result of this, Arpeggio doesn't really get to do much. Like it's still built up as the big leader of the Klaww gang, you know. And at the confrontation you get this ultimate motivation, and there's a bit of sympathetic figure to him. But then no, boom, immediately disposed.
When I first played this game, I always expected that Neela would be the final boss. I wasn't exactly expecting, though, that we never get to fight Arpeggio, though.
I don't know, like, honestly, I thought, the first time I thought mostly that, yes, the gang would have probably still confronted Neela, you know, but more of like a final showdown as like the penultimate final boss, because, you know, lieutenant figure and all. But no, she actually takes the stage essentially. Which
I guess
again, fine by me. It's simply just the fact that Arpeggio gets the shaft as a result. Mind you, compared to plot points that will happen both in the third and the fourth game, this is still pretty fine. I don't really have any major quarrels aside of saying that it's a bit of wasted potential.
Not only that, but ironically, this is kind of an inverse of what tends to happen with some Final Fantasy games, whereas, you know, the person who has been there all along does turn out to be the final boss, as opposed to, oh, this guy who we only find out about way later into the plot turns out to suddenly be the final boss.
Well,
because that's the thing about Arpeggio, we kind of only really find out about him, like, during the John Devon level.
Well, I guess technically you can say that that's what they did with Kuja, because Kuja was only introduced nearly at near the end of Disc 3 in 9.
Well, technically he shows up at the end of Disc 1 and
has
a bit of a role in Disc 2. So
I guess, but that's like minimal.
Which is funny because then Kuja himself gets usurped for another final boss.
Mm-hmm.
It's a conga line, but. In a way, it's kind of similar, a reverse situation of what happens in 13 with Jill Nabat and Gallant Isley. So,
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
True.
I mean, the complaints were so much, but the complaints were the entire reason why they actually had the DLC for 13.2 where you get to fight Jill, just because of that.
It doesn't help.
GTO, it's almost like people didn't like being constantly taunted with a character who was as terrible as Jill Nabat is, and not getting the chance to put her in her place with a fight here and there. Like,
it also doesn't help that the one scene that actually allows us to actually focus on her is a scene where she, for no real reason, acts incredibly stupid. Of not knowing what her own army's signals are.
with through the color codes.
I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding you, Dibs.
Was it code orange or code blue?
Yeah.
Smash his glasses.
Yeah. I'm not even kidding you, Dibs. The first, this is a character that's a general. And yet she doesn't know the military codes. You know how you have code red, code orange, code blue, and stuff like that.
Sorry, I had to look away for a second there. What were you talking about?
Final Fantasy 13.
Basically, this is a character. Hold on. This is maybe.
Well, the last power up of the game, technically, thanks to the boot also. So let me get it quickly.
Go ahead.
Yes, anytime, Bentley.
Anytime.
At least someone knows the code.
Oh yeah, the invisibility power up again. Weird that it's here, but whatever.
Why? Not for nothing. I don't really think there's any point in leaving behind a calling card.
Yeah, I actually think I kind of preferred the safe opening animation of the first game personally. I feel like it's more stylish, and this one doesn't feel quite as good in my opinion.
Yeah.
It feels lackluster in comparison, to be honest.
Well, at least very some. Fusing Time actually brings back the saves that you can open by collecting enough bottles, but there's no real animation of opening at all. You just input the code. You just input the code using the analog sticks and the 6 axes, and then it cuts literally to Sly holding the treasure. It is kind of unfinished in that regard, which is weird, but it's a topic for another time. Yeah, basically, what you saw that there was a mission for Mary, one for Sly, and now there's another one for Bentley. So basically, all the gang gets their time to shine. All members of the gang get their time to shine for this final sequence. Go on, Vader, in the meantime.
I'm not even kidding you, Dwebs. This is a character who's a general of an army, but she doesn't know her army's own codes, as in code red, code green, blah 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 blah. And so there's a scene where where the computer goes code. Danger, and then she literally goes like, and I'm quoting, "Oh, so we're in code orange. Oh wait, it's the code blue. Maybe it's I forgot what the colors were, but it goes along like this."
Me too. I remember the punchline because it becomes to a point where the Super Pope, yes, it has a name, Galen Dicey, but everyone calls it the Super Pope, which in the same room, in a very annoyed way, basically tells her, "No, leave it to me," and he says code white, and that's where the things get fucked up for the party.
Was it supposed to be a joke on because there's so many colored codes?
No.
It's hard to understand.
There's literally no reason for that. It's just to be taken completely seriously, and it's done just for it. The only thing that accomplishes is to make Jill Nabat look like an idiot, which feels odd because the game has built her up to be very serious without any trace of humor, or the tomfoolery. So it comes the fuck out of nowhere.
It's the problem. I'm not kidding you, Dibs. When I watched that scene for the first time when I first played the game, I literally was thinking, okay, I must have misunderstood that. Like, that can't be what she said. So I went to YouTube to rewatch the cutscene because that scene was so stupid that I was literally in disbelief that no, I must have heard wrong. Clearly, go ahead, Joe.
To play a slight devil's advocate, I do get the thing that the idea was to show that she doesn't think well on the fly when stuff does not go according to our plan.
That would be nice, but she's a military commander. You think that she will need to have...
Wouldn't that be a requirement?
More capability, yeah, to be capable
I was getting.
It's like the Kobayashi Maroon test ultimate goal for Star Trek.
That's what I was about to get to, though. I could get it if maybe they had, hinted at that beforehand, but no, that would literally have been the first time we ever see it from that get-go. And what's worse, it seems like it would have been the perfect lead into a boss fight with her, but of course, because Final Fantasy XIII hates the players, it doesn't give you the satisfaction of taking her down yourself. Because that wasn't part of the Fauci's great plan. Okay, it's like Shiroi said, Final Fantasy VIII hasn't managed to make her check out, but Final Fantasy XIII did in spades.
It's mostly because with Final Fantasy VIII, the plot is terrible, but you know what's happening at the you understand what's happening. You can, and even if the plot fails what it's trying to do, you can understand what it's trying to do. 13, 13 is literally a game that makes the player feel like a rat in the maze. Like
wait, Pedro. What maze? It's one singular hallway.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. A rat in a maze that's just a rat in a road that has no end. There you go.
I guess to be fair, there's that one level that's a maze where they implement platforming of all things.
I was speaking more in terms of the story, but yeah.
Also, no, Jova, that happens at the end of 13 too, Jova.
Sorry, the games tend to blend in for me.
But no, even for the plot lines that are instead more detailed, when you think where we're going, for example, Hope subplot of plotting his revenge. You literally see Hope's character growing in a kind of sense as soon as he gets to be alone with Lightning, essentially. But and you see that he starts to become essentially worse because he sees her basically as a bad role model, and he starts plotting his revenge against Snow. But when shit has to hit the fan, either nothing happens, and then he's just quickly forgot because he gets over it because Snow saves him for falling damage. That's literally
a bad role model, so...
Sure. She's a bad role model who apparently then grows to have feelings for Hope, who is, a little young for her, just saying.
Wait, you talk about Vanille?
No, Lightning.
Oh, Lightning. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, because lightning, for some ungodly reason, starts to have the
Okay,
hot for snow.
okay. To be fair, as far based on what we know from the sequels, I'm not even sure if that was the intent. I mean, it comes across as that. Don't get me wrong, but honestly, I'm starting to doubt if that was even the intent. I'm starting to honestly.
From the first game, it's pretty clear that from the first game, Lightning is conceived as a character that has no reason to have a lot of interest at all in general. By the time Lightning returns, it simply put the dev team decided to just basically partially canonize what the fanfics writers had done.
Why hope of all characters like
I really don't know, Jova. You already heard me enough ranting about how unnecessary love stories, make me feel about in fiction. So.
Oh sure. I'm kind of like that as well.
I don't even necessarily mind love stories in general, but Lightning with Hope, that's kind of icky because of the age difference, which, maybe we could argue they made
depends on the context. Again, if it was the 13.2 version of Hope, which was all grown up as well, and considering Lightning was time displaced, that would have potentially softened up the deal. The problem is that by Lightning Returns, Universal decides to use as a vessel the younger body of Hope, which is double iffy.
Which just makes Lightning falling in love with him. Yeah, Lightning, you're gonna be on a list of.
To be fair,
you may want to have a student.
To be fair, in Lightning Returns, they've completely abandoned that anyway. There's nothing in Lightning Returns related to that. To be fair,
actually, there was, and I forget if Tio mentioned that there was also stuff involved in, once again, a Japanese exclusive novel.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
The novels that I do remember distinctly that are set actually after Lightning Returns are one where a journalist starts to interview the characters that were in the previous world part of the game, like the Nora gang, Fang and stuff. Yes, Wibs?
It's funny you mentioned 13. I was just looking on my Xbox how much it is. It's £12. Is it worth £12?
Nope.
No.
Just wait until it gets put on Game Pass.
Yeah, like.
The game.
Also, we don't have to worry about Lightning being a creep because she's already taken, don't you know?
Actually, Teo, I don't know, Teo. It might be a while before it gets on game because back when Game Pass, like about 2 years ago, the free games were all on Game Pass, but eventually the deal expired. So I don't know if it's gonna. I don't know unless
maybe it rotates. I don't know.
Well, it depends. It depends too. Basically, the way Game Pass works is that Microsoft makes a deal. Okay, how about this? We'll pay you this money, and we'll be able to have the game on Game Pass for X months or I
know that.
So Microsoft clearly didn't bother trying to renew the contract, so probably didn't get that many downloads.
I love how Final Fantasy XIII's trilogy is like some of the only mainline Final Fantasy games not yet brought over to Nintendo. Like, I have to imagine that Nintendo, like, you know what? We can afford to miss out on 13. Okay,
Jova, it would probably blow up the Switch trying to run.
That's the thing, Jova. Ever since the PC port,
it wouldn't, Wibs. It is not that powerful.
It's not for that, Jova. Maybe because it's the way it was coded. Remember, it's trained it had to be completely recoded for the Xbox 360. It had to be using the schematics of a PS3 version for the Xbox One version, and the PC version was coded also poorly because Durante actually had to fix, I think, all 3 of the games.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well. Okay,
it's more of a case it was coded, not so much of the capabilities of the Switch.
That's a thing, Jovo. Go ahead.
Pretty much my point, yeah. Bad optimization, like, it would run bad on pretty much.
This is probably the same reason why we haven't got an actual remaster of the trilogy as a whole, like on PS4 and Xbox One on its own, and we only got the backward compatibility program for Xbox One.
I've been looking it up. You can play it on Series 13.
No, yes, but it's because of the
every Xbox.
What I mean, Dweebs, is a more traditional, quote-unquote, remaster compilation that happened to have to some games, like, for example, say, the Zodiac version of 12, for example.
Well, there's everything that can be played on the Xbox One can also be played on the Series S and X, so that's not really...
Only makes sense. All right.
Anyway, for this mission, Bentley has to actually hack some terminals, as you can see. Thankfully for this mission, the projectiles actually do bounce on walls of the spaceship, of the cyber spaceship, sorry. So it's only a matter of positioning the right analog stick.
But it's not even just that too. Ever since Matsuda took over, the company has been kind of not even
forgetting that.
Not even acknowledging them a lot of times.
Well, okay, the 13's presence in crossover exists.
Obviously.
That's a thing.
Well, those are obligations.
True, but that's what I was getting at. I don't think it's out of obligation. There still seems to be just actual effort behind them. It's just a matter of the fact that they didn't want to take on or talk about the original 13 trilogy as a whole. As a whole. But watch, considering poor timing and everything, watch as after like a week from when this video gets published, Square actually announces the quote-unquote remaster coming out in a few months.
I'll just say this. I argue that they do include the 13 characters out of obligation, but it's a mixture of what you and me say. It's out of obligation, but they still do show them better love there than, well, their own games actually
material.
did. Like hell, I mean, even that mobile crossover game.
Like I said, Opera Omnia. Because again, Opera Omnia is a blessing for any badly written thing about Final Fantasy because it has the chance to develop a lot of the characters just through them talking with each other.
Saz of all characters is actually, a typical character you get, and he's treated well in that mobile game of all things.
Yeah. Like I said,
because unlike Toriyama, the guys who made that game aren't racist. I'm not even kidding you, Dwibs. The way they treat Saz in the third game really makes me question Toriyama's attitude towards African people. To be honest with you,
I honestly
never mind the fact that it's the only character who actually tries to commit suicide in a very pointless and not really convincing way. That's
mind you, after a scene where he clearly looks upbeat.
Yeah.
Christ.
It's considering how 13 tries to ape up 7 in a lot of ways. I get the idea that they looked at Barrett and thought they could replicate what the writing did to him, but unsuccessfully. But there's the thing, Jova. You have to also remember that I followed the interviews of the release of the original 13. Saz was literally the last character from the main party that actually got announced a few months before the release of the game.
Which is ironic because he's arguably the second playable character you ever really truly see.
It's the first that appears in the game.
Actually, Jova, it's both him and Lightning. Right? The very first battle of the game, you have both Lightning and Saz in your party. So both him and Lightning are the first ones at the same time. So yeah, he's literally part of the first. He's not even a second. He's first. Both Lightning, and Saz are.
I do wonder if they did that once again just to ape up 7.
Cloud and Barrett, because seeing the first boss does look like as Scorpion-like features, they were literally on the nose. But
anyway, time for the Murray's turn.
Yeah, if you recall correctly, after this mission, it's time to actually deal with Klaww, because we have been basically destroying things left and right. So this is the last one. If you have noticed, the missions had a kind of a structure where you start with a character for this one, but halfway through you switch to another member. Again, just in a way that they're paced, so each member gets their moment to shine properly overall, which is, it is pretty cool. Like I said, of all the games, this is the one that has the end game portion that is the best paced, because it's actually very well constructed.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that the 1 in 3 or 1 are completely bad. It's just that a more arcade-like way. As for Thieves in Time, well, you'll see. Again, you'll see. I prepared a special commemoration for the final part of that. Don't worry.
Commemoration? I thought the correct term would be a rant.
No, don't worry. You'll see in due time. But no, like.
Sorry.
No, go on. Sorry.
Unlike most Sly fans, Joe, but Tail is actually fairly okay with Sly 4.
Okay,
Oh.
I cannot. I'm not blind because there are a lot of things in the plot that are badly written. I was mentioning this to Deji the other day. Like, there's a different writer, and it shows. Some of the twists and the final portions are poorly written, and it feels like it was also rushed. It does really feel like it was rushed.
I'll just say this.
But the thing is that the game, like I said, the gameplay is actually well refined. The update in art seems to be on par for a game on the PS3, and the soundtrack is the best of the franchise, in my opinion. So the elements are there to make the ideal. The print is there to make the ideal Sly game, even on modern system. It was a proof that you could do it. The problem is, sadly, is just that they needed a better writer. Like,
not only
that's
that,
all.
not only that, but you know, maybe this also ties into the writer, but the game feels like a blatant, oh, we're actually setting into motion something as opposed to actually doing something sort of thing. I won't
I
spoil.
don't know what you're getting it, but let's reserve it for when we get. Let's reserve when you get to the game.
I'll just sum it up like this: the ending. That's all I'll say.
Oh, but no, that's not really tied to the gameplay, Jova.
Oh, well, I wasn't talking about the gameplay. I was.
Well,
sort of
I was
following up
talking about that,
thing
Jova. It's only about, again, the only major problem seems to be just the writing, which gets to be a problem if you want to still include a story or if for your game. But again, the imprint still is there for the future for someone else to use. Sadly, not so much Sanzaru, because recently they did the same. They had the same kind of end that Double Helix did. They got bought by a company that doesn't seem to have any interest in making actual console games. Facebook, of all people. So.
Yep.
Wait a minute. Sanzaru got bought by Facebook?
Yes, really.
Well, that's what happens when, let's face it, Sanzaru's resume is not exactly filled with gems. Let's face it.
I heard the VR game they did, the one of Norse mythology, was actually good, but I don't know. Anyway, apparently Carmelita is meant to arrive, so it's about time to actually take down Klaww with her.
So, truce.
For the moment.
For now.
To help her hone in on our position, we'll need to boost the strength of 4 local radio towers. Once Inspector Fox is in range, she'll take one of us on board to act as a tail gunner in a dogfight against Klaww.
I wonder who could it be.
Which one?
Yeah, seriously.
We're almost over Paris.
Sadly, no.
Hate hypnosis light show goes
I find it actually interesting how across the trilogy and even in Thieves in Time, to be honest, they make it such a big deal about Paris being kind of the hometown of the Cooper gang, despite all of them pretty much speaking in fluent American, like English. You know, they never state actually the home, what actually is their hometown of origin, like where was the orphanage. But it's pretty safe to assume for the fans that it was actually Paris in a way.
My theory has always just been that America was their hometown, but Paris is like, you know, their favorite
major
haunt.
airport. Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
You know, especially with, you know, France usually having extradition laws to help out criminals.
Okay, for this mission alone, Bentley has given Sly a particular jetpack, kind of like the rocket nozzle in Mario Sunshine, allows you to do a super jump, but be careful not to fall.
Hey, look at that. We also get a jetpack just like near the end of the first game.
But like I was mentioning, aside from that, I found it interesting because Sucker Punch as a team, you know, is not French. So I wonder where their love for making a central focus, the city of Paris, was.
Well,
Paris does tend to be the favorite haunts of a lot of criminals because, like I said,
if I had to hazard a guess, also is because they wanted to again homage the myth of Arsène Lupin, you know, the thief gentleman. So. French stuff, I guess.
That too,
yeah. But it's literally just a guess from me.
Well, Tail, if there's one thing Nate Fox has proven, especially, is that he's very good at depicting other countries' cultures. So
yeah, seems so. So even with I actually don't remember. Yeah, I think Clockwerk Sucker Punch is an American studio because for Infamous 2 they actually had it as a central focus. For Infamous 1 they used discount New York City. For Infamous 2, a New Orleans discount city. But for Infamous Second Son, they actually used the actual city of Seattle. So there's that. They actually did not use like a carbon copy. They actually used the actual city, surprisingly enough. So there's that as well. Here we go. Apparently just standing there raises the boost.
Well, Theo, we know he's weeaboo, but what would be the French equivalent word for a weeb?
Frenchaboo.
Frenchaboo. So basically, so Netox is both Frenchaboo and weeaboo. So
to be fair, French people are kind of weeaboos of their own. Like if stuff like Wakfu or anything to go by. So.
Well, actually, the French people tend to be Jerry Lewis boos.
Oh, that's more for the entertainment, but they actually are very fond of anime culture, and that's why a lot of their cartoons feel like that.
That's why, remember, Joe, Miraculous Ladybug originally started its life as a natural anime with Toei Animation. And Toei Animation is still co-producing the series. It's just that eventually, because in order to appeal more to a Western audience, they decided to go with the CGI art style.
Imagine, you've seen the latest season. I think it's pretty good.
It is. Like I said, that show basically just gets better. Better and better as it goes along, really. It's it's not even. It's one of those things for me when it comes to that. Hold on, cutscene.
Yeah, we're actually about to get final boss time.
Yeah.
Okay, can you stop using the megaphone, go Carmelita? Also, the moon is freaking huge.
To be fair, she wants to be heard over the roar of the airship's engine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this turret section sucks. Well, not really sucks, but it's very difficult. Apply the rules of the turret so far, and the fact that you get no briefer, you don't have healing, you cannot actually heal, and you have to withstand all the attacks from Klaww and the Pleader Elbar, and you don't really get in between shortage. If you die, you have to start the fight from the very beginning. So basically, get good for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Pedro. You were saying?
No. Okay. No. The thing about that. The thing about that show is that, like I've said this. I think I said this before, but might as well. Ever since the Sailor Moon anime ended, there's been a lot, and I mean a lot, of wannabe ripoffs.
The whole shoujo genre, yes.
Yeah, exactly. But as someone who grew up with the original anime back in the 90s, I can tell you that Miraculous is the first one that actually manages to properly understand what makes the genre fun. Specifically, and it does it so in its own way. In particular, why? Because instead of being pandering with its stuff like Tokyo Mew Mew is, or something like that, it does exactly what the original Sailor Moon did. It portrays this life, it plays teenager life through a distinctly female lens, and think of Marinette as she has these same insecurities, teenage girl insecurities that Uzagi has, but unlike Uzagi, she's good at school. So basically, my guess is Thomas Astor, the creator, was thinking, okay, people tend to complain about her being dumb at school and being a bit screaming a lot and stuff. So I'm gonna make her more of a nerd. In comparison to Uzagi. So basically an attempt to, iron out what people usually tend to complain about Uzagi, basically.
So, who else remembers Tokyo Mew Mew from their childhood?
Me.
I mentioned a couple of times. I saw like a couple of episodes and I was not impressed, especially when our episode. Well, I'll mention this later because again, we're about to get pretty much the rest of the party's spot heavy. So I'll mention this
Theo, Carmelita said that Sly should have been a cop, eh?
Also, like I said, don't be fooled. I didn't make it look like easy, but trust me, the turret section is not. It was just after all of practicing.
That said, it's not over yet.
No, because now it's a kind of a free fall section where we have to save the Bentley and Murray were still hanging out in the battery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically
A
Clockwerk
flying
took,
battery.
the reservoir of, the mind control device, essentially, which unfortunately ended up dismantling the entire airship. So,
Oops.
yeah, probably should go help them.
Also,
Yep.
all the guards that were on the airship are definitely dead, but let's not talk about them.
It's okay, they were bad guys.
They're
No,
fodder.
no, it's okay. I saw their parachutes.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's okay. It's okay. Look,
Totally.
no. Allow me to. Look, I can see their parachutes. They're okay. Yes, of course, because kids are stupid. They can't possibly tell when someone dies.
Okay, which show did the whole parachute?
DBZ Ocean dub.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z before Funimation dubbed it, basically. The primary mandate with Saban job was one of the mandates was no deaths. Kids cannot be aware that there's people dying in this. Ends that line. But
It's
no.
kind of funny because in a way Dragon Ball Z Abridged instead tried to basically go on the opposite way and had a lot of depths but were not in the original, like Ginyu. So Ginyu. Anyway, here we go.
Hey.
Come here often.
Well, what if we dismantle you piece by piece?
Low-down, backstabbing coward we've beaten time and time again. This won't be any different.
Be brave while you can, Cooper. I'm not but I feel some power growing within me.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's not self-destruct, is it?
Well, let's beat the shit over before it does.
So yeah, it's literally a face-to-face match.
Once again.
Mm-hmm.
She's
Alright,
weakened, but not down for the count just yet.
Mm-hmm. Klaww, you okay? Okay then.
No, she's not okay. That's the point. Oh.
Well, shit. There we go. You need to actually stand there and beat the shit out of her face.
And that!
It is satisfying, I will admit. Especially after that sort of section.
Mayday. Oh, we're okay.
We did it.
It's at it.
I expected to die.
About that,
Oh,
Shirai.
shit.
Watch out.
My hate will smash you. That looks suspiciously like an arena.
About a hate chip. It sounded like the source of her power.
If we remove it, she might.
Yeah, there's a chip that fills you with hate.
She can't hit us when we're here for some reason.
Why can't Sly do it? And I mean, get the chip. Why does Bentley have to do it?
Because
I really don't understand,
Bentley's
especially because what's gonna happen in a second.
Because Bentley's the hacker to you.
Of course. The thing is, doesn't need to hack. Sly need to ensure that someone needs to get the actual chip in the cane. But what's inside? Jesus! Jesus
No.
Christ!
Unfortunately, we seem to have given her the hate she needs.
I am revenge. I am the Alpha and the Omega.
Oh god, she's gotten a messiah complex.
Sorry, the
But yeah, that's essentially the thing. The Sly Cooper gang, unfortunately, have given her a new source of hate.
yeah. All right, the Bentley actually needs to bomb it. That's why.
Yeah. Want to bet?
But here, I'll give you a power up.
Yes! We got the hate chip!
Yay!
Get out of here. She's about
Yes! Let's get out, Bentley! Oh!
my glasses.
Yeah, that's not good.
Bentley, I'll save you.
Pick me up. I can't walk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bentley's-
these events will literally cripple Bentley for life. He will not be able to walk anymore.
Yep. In her
So
dying
really get to play as if for one game.
Well, not exactly.
You will see, Dweebs. Don't worry, because this is not the last game.
Basically, in her dying act, Neela inflicted quite a bit of damage onto
like I said, cherish the ending of the first game, because this is just the beginning of, having bittersweet endings at best.
They remained pristine. It was as if nothing could ever hurt them. Carmelita cursed herself for showing up too late to get a few shots in on Klaww. So she took it out on what was close at hand. The hate chip. And just like that, it was over. Without that,
now Clockwerk really is gone.
Yeah, Clockwerk. To be fair, Clockwerk will never rise again. And to be fair, no game has actually, up until now, has actually tried to pull the card of, oh, there's a secret way to bring him back again.
Which is funny, because you'd think they would have done that with Thieves in time.
I guess it was too easy. I mean, and Sanzo actually wanted to do something different. Oh, right, I forgot. Yeah, that's not a good time for shenanigans.
So I offered to go peacefully in exchange for letting my friends walk.
Wow.
They'd taken some bruises through all of this, but I was surprised, shocked really, to see them leave their gear behind as they walked away. Their wounds were deeper than I'd imagined. Those guys were hurting. Carmelita's old police unit soon arrived. With me in custody, her name was cleared, and she even got a well-deserved promotion. It was the least I could.
How nice.
The ride to HQ started with us sitting in silence, trying to read each other's thoughts. As the
Don't do that.
capture started to sink in, we began to relax, and we got to talking.
Oh.
We spoke freely about our previous adventures, comparing notes and even...
See, Shiro, she loves to be in control.
We started talking about,
yes,
well, everything. Books, music.
Yeah, like the taste may be similar, but it's the execution that's different.
Don't you see, Tio? A thief and a cop
It's
can
such
make it work.
it's such a healthy relationship, am I right?
Our short flight across town had already taken 2 hours.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Seen the Eiffel Tower float by 17 times. She asked the pilot what was up, and it looked like my pals had left me a little going-away present.
Curses foiled again.
Bye.
Better luck next
And even
time.
stole the wine. What a dick, right?
Carmelita. Wait, I'm sure that's gonna change again.
It's a good thing that can. Oh, actually, Mish.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a good thing that Kermit actually knows how to pilot the fucking thing, but
And then the helicopter crashed.
okay, starting with this game, in the credits we will get some snippets of a Where Are We Now segment involving the villains of all things. So stick around for the credits to see, and I'll ask your final thoughts later.
Stick around to see Arpeggio's smushed corpse.
Yeah, no. Like,
Yeah, imagine that. Yeah.
there you go, Peter McConnell is a composer.
One of the villains went on to become a successful trombone player.
Oh, okay, I didn't check.
Arpeggio is dead.
We actually use real instruments here, not seams. Cool.
Kevin Miller as Sly.
Matt Olson as Bentley. Chris Murphy as Murray. Again, most of these voice actors mostly stick with these kind of roles, so that's why they're
Oh, he left her a present.
He left the wine that he stole, so at least he had a bit of compassion.
With his calling card.
Yeah,
I mean, she didn't seem to be all that mad at him in the end.
Inspector Carmelita Fox continues to search for Sly Cooper, whose current whereabouts are still unknown.
The world may never know where he'll strike next.
Dimitri went on to work as a dance instructor on a cruise ship.
I guess he got good parole.
Don't worry, we haven't seen the last of him. Raja now owns a series of rug outlets across North America.
Again, good parole, or these guys just got off for good behavior.
The Contessa went on to become the most successful real estate broker in the greater Milwaukee area.
That's really random.
Jean Bison went on to work for the EPA.
Oh, that is some irony.
And ended up frozen yet again on rescue mission, saving baby penguins. Well.
So basically, doing the right thing just causes him misery.
Yep.
What's the world trying to tell us there?
Doing the right thing is pointless.
Well, let's see. Bentley did the right thing, and he got his legs crushed.
Damn, that's harsh. Okay, that's it. You've seen everything.
Oh, go
You
away.
won.
You
No
won.
good deed goes
Go
unpunished.
outside.
okay?
We can't go outside right
Don't
now.
tell me what the fuck to do. Come on. It's like, Jesus
You made
Christ.
the game for us to stay inside and play.
Also, yeah, go outside. Thank God this game wasn't made and released in 2020. Otherwise, that would have come.
Hilarious in hindsight. But yeah, that's it. No real post-credit scene. So, final thoughts. Lives.
It's all right. It's got a more involved plot than the first game, and yeah, the gameplay itself looks pretty much similar. I can't say too much because I haven't played any of them. Are there remakes on the PS4?
No, sadly, no.
You would think, but again, we just have to wait and see until someone okays.
A lot of the HD
revival
collection
too.
that were done on the PS3 did not actually get ported on the PS4.
Well, the only way I'd be able to play it then is if I got it from like Kex or something.
To be fair, well, if I recall correctly, the collection, along with other PS3 titles, might be included in the PS Now program.
It is, yeah.
Forgot.
It is, yeah.
So there's a way to stream it, potentially, if you want.
Alright. Go on.
You done,
Alright,
Liz?
that's it. Yeah, I
Pedro.
forgot. Yeah, I just
What?
checked Kex. The first one's £20.
Go on, Pedro.
No, it's good. Really good actually. Like I like the gameplay is further refined, although it's more or less, but at the same time it's fine. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. And I do appreciate the fact that especially starting with this game in particular, like it was already present in the first game, but in here it's much more pronounced. The fact that Nate Fox has absolutely no problem in portraying Sly. In fact, all three of the main characters in general as just in an honest way, as in like he doesn't in any way try to apologize for, let's face it, the crimes that these three guys are making, even when they do have technically good reasons to do so. So I appreciate the fact that he has the balls to portray his characters in a way that's not necessarily a positive light, which is something that would even perfect later in Ghost of Tsushima even. So
again, I'm more baffled about how he managed to do it while still pulling a Peggy free for the European release.
Oh yeah.
Again, to you, it tends to be when you basically use the right terms, you can make anything sound kid friendly enough to the.
Of course, it's not cocaine; it's a spice.
It's like Sheila Broflovsky says to you: horrific violence is okay as long as people don't say any naughty words. Naughty words, yeah. But no, yeah, it's really good. The music is also good. Yeah, it's just like a very solid sequel that does exactly what it should do. There's not that much in terms of anything to complain about or anything to really discuss in depth, because yeah, it's exactly what you would expect from a sequel to the first game. It amps up stuff both plot-wise and gameplay-wise, and it succeeds. So yeah, it really is an overall solid sequel. And yeah. That's basically it. There's not that much in terms of there's not really that much in terms of any possible big things I need to talk in depth, really, because it's a very straightforward sequel when you get right down to it. I'm done.
All right, Cheery.
That was much better than the first one. I mean, they finally figured out what they wanted to do. I did like the art style from the first game, but yeah, they did improve on that still. It was nice to, because a lot of what they tried to do with the first one seemed quite random. They definitely found their footing for this one, and that's it really. It's just a really good follow-up.
All right, Jova.
It's a very, very wonderful follow-up here and there. It has a nuanced story here and there. You know, it adds on more depth to the characters as well. And it's overall a fun ride. I really do appreciate also, you know, the new characters and whatnot, the touched-up art style here and there. And while the story is bittersweet, the defeats of the bad guys are no less satisfying, as a plot ought to be. So, yeah, overall, it does what a sequel should do. Improve on the formula and get us hyped for the next one.
True. Well, it doesn't really end on a sequel hook, but a common thing at the time was still making games in trilogy format, so a sequel had to be expected. But let me use my final thoughts as well. No, this is pretty much an improvement over the first game on a lot of things, the art style. I don't even mind the gameplay of the first game, just refining a bit, making a bit less dickish, when you deal with the killing one hit thing. And that's a thing that I did. But I'm still okay with this kind of formula that we stuck with, because, again, if it ain't broken, don't fix it, and that's what basically happened through the rest of Sucker Punch history. Just a matter of refining it. The characters are actually also improved. Again, Murray is much an improvement over the first game. He was just bumbling there and need to be rescued most of the time. Now he gets to do his own shit again. Each character gets their moment to shine, like Murray against Rajan or Bentley against Jean Bison instead. And even the villains are much more improved compared to the Finnish 5, Again, the only thing that I really want to notice is the fact that Arpeggio didn't have much moments to shine, but that's literally the only thing that I can say. And I do wonder if it's a matter of the fact that the game might have been slightly rushed and they kind of had to compress a bit stuff for the ending portion, which seems to be a common thing for the franchise. But no, the music is absolutely an improvement. Peter McCollum gives the franchise its own identity with the soundtrack, and it will stick for the rest of it, and I'm absolutely glad for it, because the soundtrack will keep improving with each game. But that's pretty much it. I really enjoyed this game, and I think it's kind of my favorite of the original trilogy. The next one is not, a bad one, but it do seem to put it more on par with this one. They're very similar in nature. So, for the next step for the Sly franchise, we will see sooner or later. Like you mentioned at the end, the Clockwerk is gone, so we're gonna need a fresh take. But it will be time for Sly to discover more of the legacy from his family, with all the goods and bads that it entails. On another journey towards the rest of the world. See you for Sly 3: Honor Among Thieves.
See you then.
See ya.
Yeah.
See ya.